my lucky break in journalism came due to someone else's terrible luck and a couple of dozen broken bones. I was a week or two from graduating college, and I didn't have a job, and I didn't have an internship. Didn't really know what I was going to do, except maybe move home and look for a job there. When a professor sent me an email, he sent it to everyone actually, about a weekly newspaper in a tiny town called Marengo, Iowa, that was looking for an intern. And anybody here know Marengo? Nice. It has a gas station. No restaurant, just a gas station you can eat at. So, was a lot of interest, maybe some scoffing from fellow students because they all had cool internships or something, but I had nothing. So I sent them a reply and I said, I'm interested in this. And but in the meantime, my brother was graduating. He had his master's degree at a school in Texas. So I picked up my grandmother who lives in Missouri, and we drove to southwestern Iowa to meet the rest of my family, and then we all drove down to Texas. So when I was down in Texas, I got an email from that newspaper in Marengo, and they said, "Oh, we'd love you to come in for an interview." And I said, "That's great. I'm going to be swinging right by there, and you can. I'll just come by and interview. That's fine." So I told my grandma that we would be swinging by. Now, if you think of a number 7, that is really the route we ended up taking. Because it's about 200 miles, I think, I don't know, from Red Oak, Iowa to Marengo, Iowa, and then back southwest again to Columbia, Missouri. So I may have kidnapped my grandmother, and she was always chill and up for an adventure. So we drove to Marengo, Iowa, and I said, "You stay right here." And I rolled down the windows and said, "There's a nice square over there. You can go wander in the square, but don't go too far. I have a job interview, and I'll be back at some point." So she sat in the car while I did my job interview, and I don't think they had any other interest because I think they offered me the job on the spot. And I took it because I had nothing else to do. And I came back, I dropped my grandma off in Missouri and packed up my 1995 Dodge Neon with all of my worldly possessions and drove back up to Marengo, Iowa, where I found an apartment in about an hour and borrowed a sofa from the publisher and bought a futon at Walmart. So I was good to go. And, it was like a small paper, but I learned a lot. Like, I took photos, I wrote stories. When the sports editor was on vacation, I took sports photos and wrote sports stories and laid out sports pages. When the features editor was on vacation, I wrote about the United Methodist Women's Supper and did those pages. And every Wednesday when we went to press, the entire newsroom would go back to the press room and count out stacks of newspapers and bundle them together. And I would throw them in the back of the publisher's pickup truck, which I then borrowed and got to drive around to the mini gas stations of Marengo, Iowa, and drop off the new newspapers and pick up the old ones, and then I was done for the day. So Wednesdays were very exciting. So the whole reason I got this big job was because the editor at one of the other weekly papers was in a terrible car accident, which sounds bad now. I've taken a turn. But he was literally in a body cast, like the kind that I thought only existed in sitcoms and soap operas. And he was, the other editor in Marengo was, bemoaning the fact that he didn't have anybody to help him out. And all the reporters were like, "Well, you keep talking about Missouri and what an awesome school it is. So get one of those awesome Missouri students to help you out and be an intern." So that's why he sent the email and why I was the only person that replied to it. But I owe that guy who was in a body cast, who is all better now, thank you, for my start in journalism.